We're on our third international RV trip here in beautiful Italy. We're coming to you from Tuscany, where we are on an olive farm. There are a lot of flies around because we're out in the fields, boondocking on an agriturismo site.
We're surrounded by olive trees, and the neighboring properties may have vineyards. There are mountains and castles, and the ocean is nearby. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful here.
We thought this would be a perfect place to take you on a detailed, in-depth tour of our motorhome. Now, this is the third motorhome rental we've done internationally. The first one in Australia, the second one last year in England, and now here in Italy. And we want to go into a little more depth this time than we did in the previous tours that we did. There are a lot of similarities between RVs outside North America.
The similarities are actually a big help, because if you are going to travel internationally in an RV, once you get used to the differences in the systems, it makes it a lot easier to visit different countries, because the RVs are more likely going to all be the same to each other, even though they're different than what we're used to in North America.
So we're going to do this as a two-part tour. I'm going to do a tour of the outside and tell you about all the features, some of which are the same as we're used to, and many of which are different.
So part one will be the outside with Peter. And then our second video will be part two, where I'll take you around the inside and show you all the same things about what we do and don't like about the features and differences in this RV compared to what we're used to in North America.
So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take you for a walk completely around the rig. There's not quite as much to show on the outside as on the inside, but we'll start there. And then I'm going to hand it over to John to show you the inside in part two. The first and most obvious thing that's different is the black tank. This rig doesn't have a black tank. In Europe and in Australia, and we are pretty sure in New Zealand as well, RVs don't have black and gray tanks that come out through a regular sewer outlet together. They instead have a separate place to dump gray water and a completely different way of handling black water, which is a cassette toilet. So this is what a cassette looks like. Basically, your black tank can be removed from the RV, and this is simply taken out. When you're ready to go dump the tank, you slide this out the side of the RV and take it to the dump point. Now, there are pros and cons to that. The biggest pro is that you don't have to take the RV to a dump station. You can take the black tank, as it were, to the dump station. Now, gray water is handled completely differently. They don't go to the same place. Unlike in North America, where there's one sewer outlet that gets black and gray, they are kept separate here. Now, the downside to having a cassette system is they're small. This container only holds a few days worth of sewage from the toilet. So we are now currently on our fourth day on this, and that is probably going a little long. Usually you need to dump these every couple of days at most. We've been off the RV while we've been touring around various places. You get in the habit of using the bathroom at public facilities when you happen to be in the area. So that avoids putting too much into the black tank too quickly. So once you get used to how this works, you will either love it or hate it. We feel both ways. We love it and hate it. It's convenient, but it's really very small. I also want to mention that this particular RV is a Matrix 670 SL Access. It's built on a Citroen chassis. It is diesel. It's also a stick shift, which we'll get into a little later. When John is showing you around inside, he's going to show you the 6-speed manual transmission and clutch that are used here. Manual transmissions are the rule here. Now, you can get transmissions that are automatic, but not all RV rental places have them. There are also stabilizers that swing down to keep the rig more stable while it's parked, but we actually haven't felt the need to use those. It's been just fine sitting on the suspension, no problem at all. So let's take a look at another feature here. This is where the fresh water goes in. Now, this is similar to many RVs in North America, where you simply have a gravity feed and you stick a hose in here and add water to your freshwater tank. What's different is that all RVs here have this type of system. We have not seen any RVs that you can take a pressurized water line and hook it up to a spigot and pressurize the system in the RV. You can only get water by running your pump. So when you go to a full hookup campground, they're not really full hookups. You might have a water source there at the campsite, but you can't actually plumb it directly to your RV. What you need to do is fill the tank with water, use your water pump to send water to your faucets, to the toilet, to the shower, but you can't actually run off city water here. That doesn't exist in most RVs. Again, there may be some here where that can be done. We have never seen an RV here, at least for rent, and what we've watched other people doing where you can connect your RV to the city water system. So what you'll do is, each time you get to a campground, if you need water, you're gonna wanna fill up before you get to your campsite, or if they happen to have a water spigot close enough that you can fill up there, great. But the rule of thumb is we'll pull into a campground, we'll fill up with fresh water before we get to our campsite to use while we're in the park, and then stop on our way out again to refill the freshwater tank before we go to the next stop, especially if we're dry camping. That's just the way it works here. You can't run off city water. So back here, we have a large basement area, and this is very handy back here. It's a big door. We'll take a look inside there and show you. We have some of our luggage, our camera gear. This is our tripod case. Some of our luggage. There's room for bicycles. There's room for a spare tire, chairs, table. It's a big area with lots of space in it. And one nice thing they've got back here that we appreciate is, since the freshwater tank is right on the other side of this wall, there is a sight glass in here where you can see how much water is in the fresh tank. And you can look right here and see, and if I push on the side of the RV, you might be able to see right here is the water level. As I shake the RV around, you can see the water level. It's about a half a tank or so right now. And that gives us the ability to actually see visually how much water is in the tank, in addition to the readout that John's going to show you inside. Just like in North America, a smaller RV tends to have smaller tanks. This has an 85-liter gray tank and a 140-liter fresh tank, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so convert that to gallons to get an idea. We'll put that here somewhere. How much? 140?
Math on the fly.
I'm not doing that math on the fly. It's approximately times 4. A liter is a little over a quart. So actually divided by 4. Now also we have an awning, and you can see that there is a boxed awning here, very much like what you might see in North America, just a slightly different way of extending it. So we're going to use this handle to extend the awning. That goes right in here. Nice scissor arms, kind of like the bigger, higher end power awnings in North America with these 2 large arms, and it comes a long way out. Provides lots of shade, angles down nicely, and really comes a long way out. And now, once it's out, we can, I gotta remember where to reach for it. We're gonna reach right up here and loosen this. Out comes the leg. Okay. And I'll put this up high enough that I'm not going to hit my head on it. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Loosen this handle right here. Okay. There we go. Pull out on that, swing this down, and just tighten right here. And there we have ourselves a nice awning, and those feet can be staked into the ground too. Let me close this up. All of the compartments here have locks on them, some of them double locks. It's a good idea when you are here to keep things locked. You can come on around the back here. We're right by the olive trees here. We park kind of far back along the field here, so come on through. All right. And this is the bike rack that is on here. This came with this, and we have not put the bikes on the back, but we can if we want to. That way, if you need more room inside. So around this side, another access to the basement. Here they've provided us with the things we need to hook up, add water, electric, so forth. See, we have a water hose on a little reel. We're not drinking our water from our fresh tank because we would never drink any water from the tank of a rental RV. We are using bottled water while we're here. Obviously, you have no way of knowing what the quality of the water is in the tank, how it's been treated, if it's been sanitized. It's not safe to drink as far as we're concerned. Now, this is one of the biggest differences, the power cord. So you'll notice this looks like about the size of a regular 110, 120 volt power cord, and it is. It's very similar in size. But you'll notice the plug is different on this because 240 volt power here. And this is the same as it was in Australia, the same as in England. And the fact that it's 240 volt power is a real advantage when it comes to hooking up. And what that allows us to do is have a very small cord, and it's very long. So when you pull into a campground, you don't have to worry about how close you are to the power pedestal. And if we have to go a long distance before we can find power, we can just pull the reel out like this and take as much as you need. You can walk with this. Take this over to the power pedestal and hook up. These do require adapters though, not because you're changing the amperage or the voltage, but because the connections can differ. So we've been provided with these adapters. This is the one that hooks up to the RV itself up front. And all we do is take this plug right here and plug it into the reel. Take this side of it right here, and you'll see this end of it is a female plug, and that's going to go right here into our power connection, like so. This connector right here hooks into here, and now this side is what goes into the power pedestal. And then to put it all away when you're done, all you have to do, there's a little handle on the side here. Just coil it all up like so. Okay, and this and all this can now go back in the storage compartment, and this is everything we need to hook up to power. And again, this small, narrow little extension cord carries about the same power as a 30 amp connection, so it provides plenty of power for this RV without having to have that big bulky cord. Now, over here we have our LPG, or auto gas, as it's called in different parts of Europe. We'd call it propane. Okay, and here we have our propane bottles. And this came with 2 bottles, and they're connected together, and the propane is used out of the 2 tanks at the same time. We've been out on the road now for about 10 days out of our 2 weeks.
Yeah, roughly.
And we still have a good level of propane. There's a gauge that's down inside that's a little difficult to see, but this should be enough propane easily for us for 2 weeks. That included heating water, which is only done with propane. Water is not heated with electric here. The system here only uses LPG. And also, having some pretty cold nights. We were up in the mountains and it dropped down to almost to freezing, down into the 30s Fahrenheit. Every country is a little different when it comes to whether you fill your own propane or not. Now in England last year, we actually filled our own propane tank right at the gas pump, which is something we'd never done before. We'll put a link to that video down below. Again, up here is the electric outlet, and right in front of that we have the fuel door. And this does use diesel. Just about every vehicle over here uses diesel. It's incredibly popular. And you can see here we have the DEF, or AdBlue, opening right here. There's an input for that. So just like rigs in North America, if you have a newer diesel engine, you'll need to put in AdBlue, what we commonly call DEF or DEF. That's for emissions purposes. Keeps the emissions lower. It's part of a more modern system to keep diesel engines cleaner. Follow the instructions on how to add DEF It can be purchased either in a container or in some places, like truck stops, you can pump it right at the fuel pumps. You can also see up top, there is a big roof vent up there which is open, and there are screens over it. Every window has a screen and every window has blackout blinds on it. So he'll show you that when we get inside. Speaking of screens, this is one of our favorite things right here. This sliding screen. Now you may be able to tell there's a lot of flies here. We're on the edge of a pasture. We're happy that they're not mosquitoes. It's not really a big deal, but there are plenty of them. So having screens on every window, every skylight, on the door is awesome. The only things that don't have screens on them are the cab windows and doors. But the main door to go in and out of the RV, this is awesome. And around here, you couldn't function very well without it. There's also blackout blind in the doors. Well, the one door. One other thing we like here, there is a compartment here that can be used for garbage if you want. I think it's designed for that. We put our Tivas in there because we wear those when we go shower. Again, when you're in a campground that has shower and bathroom facilities, we try to use those, so we keep our Tivas in here. So that's all we have to show you about the outside. Again, it's not quite as much different about the outside of the RV as the inside. In part 2, in our next video, John is going to take you through and give you a tour of the inside. So make sure you come back and stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, safe travels.
And thanks for watching.
We take this handle here and, oh, hold on. See, it's stuck over there. Hold on. This will get edited out. There it goes. Okay. So we're going to use this handle to extend the awning. That goes right in here. Stick it up in this hole right there. Oh, we're not doing well here. Hold on. What a nuisance. It was working. I know. There we go. Okay. You can just get it from here. Okay?